Hey Bats, how are you? So, Cabin in the Woods is an awesome movie that I consider to be a rare case of horror comedy. I have the unusual opinion that it isn't really horror at all, but satire. Granted, the gore factor at the end sort of makes it qualifying to horror, but I never thought of gore as baseline horror anyway. My scare factor is higher than most, to be fair. All of that said, there's some really cool monster designs that I wanted to talk about today. I adore monster designs, after all, and I have a growing appreciation for them in general. This is my personal lists and thoughts, though, so if you disagree or think something should have made it on here, that's entirely understandable. Feel free to mention that in the comments. Number 5. The Wraith. You see the Wraith briefly in the cube scene in the movie, and then again when the monsters are unleashed. What I really like about this design is that it's not particularly human like we see with some ghosts, but it has a distinct corpse-like or rotten face. I love how it will form hands in the mist, which will then dissipate when it touches something. Given the thing isn't completely rotted away, it can make expressions. It looks as though it smiled or smirked after causing one of the main protagonists to scream. I really like the noises it makes as well. And they're really hollow, echoey, and just unnerving, haunting, if you will. Though, during the big monster release scene, the Wraith didn't do much other than sort of drift around very quickly. Perhaps it was looking for a victim to possess. Compared to the other monsters, though, I feel like this one has a really low danger level. Of course, we never quite properly saw it in action either. Ghosts and spirits are off-putting to me. Yes, I know, me, an eldritch vampire, is afraid of a little ghost. Moving on. Number 4. The Scorpion Machine. We didn't end up seeing this thing in the cubes, but during the huge release scene when the Scorpion Machine is flashed onto the screen. Just imagine this thing chasing you, though. It going wild and just hacking off limbs is really off-putting. Though, while the design is frightening, the sounds it makes is scarier. For some reason, the drilling noises and similar have always given me somewhat of a fright. I'm pretty sensitive to noises though, so that one does make the cut. Pun intended. I wonder in a horror setting if this would be a possessed machine that's going haywire, some sort of AI, or a glitch causing it to go ham. Personally, I like the possession aspect the most. Sure, it's got a sci-fi feel, but paranormal and mechanical can mix really well for a terrifying story. What if the Wraith and Scorpion Machine sort of combined, teamed up, and went after people in a horror setting? I think that would make for a rather gory movie now, wouldn't it? There are a lot of monsters flashed on screen during the climax of the film that I wish we could see for longer. This is definitely one of them, so are the next two on my list. Number 3. The Scientists/Doctors. So this is another monster we briefly see, but just the flash on screen tells us a whole lot. Namely that this monster is absolutely terrifying. The scientists are not normal, and we know that right off the bat. For one, they appear to be missing eyes. For two, they appear to be missing skin. They have stitches all over them, including in their flesh. The way the scientist holds up the scalpel to the camera definitely tells me that the person on the table is about to have a very bad time. A whole movie focused around these scientists would be cool. They are also called the Doctors, but I saw them as scientists myself, dissecting people. This is a trope referencing the evil doctor or scientist, naturally, that we see in horror. Like the Human Centipede, a movie I have yet to watch because the premise, in my opinion, isn't very interesting. But these scientists are clearly no longer human, as we can see from the design. A movie about them specifically and how they got that way could be very neat. As somewhat of a scientist myself, I can appreciate the hustle. However, I would rip them to shreds on an actual encounter because ethics are important in science. All in all, that brief flash on screen tells us a lot, and very much brings a new monster idea or perspective to the evil doctor scientist trope. Number 2. Upside Down Headman. Okay, so we see this one really quickly, but it leaves a huge impact, on me at least. You don't realize the monster has a face that's upside down until it gets into the camera, and that's scary. What I like about this monster design is exactly that, how absolutely subtle it is until it gets there, and it happens so quickly too. This monster reminds me of Trevor Henderson's creatures, specifically the man with the upside down face. However, it was in the movie, I think, before Henderson designed this monster. According to the wiki on Henderson's creatures, that one is malevolent, always shows up at car crashes, may even cause them. I feel like that monster and this one from Cabin in the Woods would get along just peachy. Anyway, the monster's eyes are closed when it's right up in the camera and its mouth is open. How exactly does it do damage? Who knows? The way it was moving, crawling like that, makes me believe it can definitely chase you down though. Admittedly, I'm not sure the true danger factor of this thing, but I do know it's scary as hell to me. Let's go into honorable mentions, which would be the Cobra and the Unicorn. I wanted to give some quick honorable mentions before moving on to my favorite monster design in the movie. The giant cobra is awesome, with a high kill count, no doubt. Just baseline playing on the fear of snakes. I'm not afraid of snakes and find it adorable though. Then there's the unicorn, nice use of that horn to impale people. I love the addition of pixie-like music on the scene where it shows up too. Now, let's move on to number 1, shall we? Number 1, the monster bat. This should come as a surprise to no one, but I love the dragon bat in this movie and I can't gush about it enough. Here's a brief fourth wall break. This monster bat was a big inspiration for my monster form, which you see here. But yes, I adore the bat here. It's a combination of a dragon and a bat, two of my all-time favorite things. This bat has a high-pitched roar we see the protagonists flinch from too, which I thought was a super cool detail. I absolutely love the mane that this bat has as well. When it hisses, the fur on its neck stands up to make it look larger. Phenomenal detail. Something cool is that its lower jaw is actually two different bones that can come apart. Did you know that's very similar to how snake skulls work? The two parts of their jaws are also not attached. Which means my dragon bat friend could potentially swallow prey whole. That implies it could unhinge its jaw. I also caught sight of spines on its back too, yet another detail I really like a lot. I think I've gushed about this monster enough though. It's what got me fascinated in monster design even more than I already was before. I love it with all of my heart and wish we saw more of it. An entire movie would be absolutely lovely. And with that, bats, that's the end of our journey. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the monster designs in Cabin in the Woods. I feel that sharing my perspective may spark new ideas, or maybe you like to agree or disagree with me. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps a new YouTuber grow. What's your favorite on this list, and what else would you have included, and why? Let me know in the comments. Have a nice night or day wherever it is for you folks.